And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Awesome Premier League. This is Lobby 1. I'm Lee Deman Smith, and joining me is WTF Moses, as we have 3 games in the bag and 1 more to go on Erangel. And TSM are still just about hanging on at the top of the table, with Rogue nipping at their heels.
Yeah, Rogue sneakily having a couple of good games today, having some nice placements as well, slowly catching up to TSM, who did go out fairly early in the last game. So we've seen TSM's success so far in the first 2 games, not so much in game number 3. So for now, it's up to the rest of the squads to try and catch them. Rogue only 65 points or so behind them. So Zoktan Nam in number 3, the Knights in number 4, and DC in number 5. DC having a sneaky good day as well. Need to turn it up a little bit, though, to catch up to the 4th place Knights. And really, for DC, they could leap into that 3rd place relatively easy with a good game here, as that 3 to 5 spots are separated only by about, I would say, 40 points.
Yeah, and thinking of Method, actually. Method had a good first 2 games, but obviously we saw Andy getting picked off early in the rotation. And I question how the leadership runs when Andy goes down, because
Right.
obviously this is a team that's basically molded around him,
Yep.
and they kind of like splintered a little bit. Obviously, it was a horrible circle. Nobody likes to see it. Well, I mean, maybe people do like to see it, but it was an open combat, open field, not a lot of cover, just straight rolling hills. Um, they're not great circles for me to certainly watch, and I know you agree with me as well. But we didn't see a great deal from him in that game. FaZe themselves, well, they went out in that rotation once again. It was a tricky spot for them. They chose to move first. Whether it was the right choice or the wrong choice, we will never know. It's one of those decisions, but they went down. They went down in a hail of bullets, and unfortunately, it meant they finished, I think it was like 10th or 11th,
Yeah,
just
10th for
because
them.
they chose to blink first.
Yeah, for FaZe, I think that in that area of the map, you have so few options, and they really wanted to push on to Exalt to try and get them out of that shack, and really driving in vehicles at that late stage of the game is super dangerous. We've seen many teams get into that issue in the past. And really that area of the map is very unforgiving. Low side slopes sloping hills on both sides of that valley gives you no cover when in transition and phase, just like you said, blink first, and they had no other options, and really it cost them. And going out in 10th place is not something that they are very used to, I would believe, for FaZe.
Yeah, I'm talking about teams that are used to high positioning. Vitality have had a pretty bad couple of weeks, in my opinion. Um, they did well at Starladder, there's no doubt about that one. But since then, they've kind of, I would say, they've been struggling online. Whether that's maybe a bit of motivation. You never know, because once you build up with these boot camps. Bearing in mind they went to Korea, don't forget. They were in Korea for a couple of weeks. Then they came back. They went straight sort of back into a boot camp, into Katowice, into Kiev. There could be a burnout issue there. I'm just like throwing things out. We don't know. We will never know. But they've definitely had couple of weeks since then. Let's have a look at this play. No, it's a pretty decent northerly plane. It's going to go straight across the channel and sort of to the south side of George Ball.
Yeah, this is actually a tough circle for those who like to go south. Speaking of Vitality, they're going to have a long float to get down that way. Rogue as well, trying to get down to the military base is going to be very difficult, as there is no slope to this plane at all. It is cutting across the center of the map, closer to the top than anywhere else. And yeah, speaking of Vitality having their travel schedule, they've been really raked over the coals as far as travel. And for those who are based in Western Europe, going to Korea, then to Poland, and then to Kiev, and then later to Romania. I mean, that's a very heavy travel schedule, and really it speaks to the resilience of FaZe, who I think have probably the best team chemistry out of the game as well. They're always together, always traveling, and really I think that burnout isn't an issue for them. I think they're still having fun with it, whereas some teams like Vitality and to an extent Method having these changes and maybe not the success that they want has put a bit of pressure on them. So for Vitality, we'll see if they can galvanize and come out of this thing, as they are in a bit of a slump, like you mentioned.
This is interesting. Look at Pachinki. Because of the plane situation, obviously Method, nobody's trying to drop in Pachinki. They're trying to get over Pachinki. But the fact is that there could be shots on them as they try and drift, go long above them, the rolling hills of Pachinki. We could see a couple of shots coming out, especially if they can get a couple of scopes early on. But looks like Fuffens is going to be able to drift on by. I did see, I think it was Jazza, that someone landed north. There's Yannick. Yannick managed to get a vehicle up north. So he's going to come around and try and pick up the rest of his team and avoid as much of Pachinki as they can.
Wow.
And the circle goes down to the south. Now, bearing in mind the plane cut across Georgie Pol's sort of canal, effectively, to Yasnaya. That's a pretty harsh circle. FaZe have got themselves in their position early on, but everybody else, Vitality's still just getting in there. Rogue are going to be able to basically get in there, grab as much loot as they can in a couple of seconds, and then they've got teams on them.
Yeah, so, yeah, for this transition, this first transition is going to be a bit of a nightmare, especially for all these northern teams, TSM, etc., because everyone's going to be coming late. Mista, watch out. There's a car coming, bro. Oh, barely dodges it. So Mista, and really looking at Noxious, Noxious has had a disaster of a day. 2 kills, 57 total points. They need a good game here, and dodging the buggy, that's how you get it started.
That's how you get a start. Penta went into school again, by the way, as well. Digital Chaos in Rozhok. So Penta, 2 games running, they've decided to go to school in apartments. So be crispy up. Wow, man, all of the Noxious guys, they found themselves in this horrible, horrible spot trying to dodge all the cars of Rogue blasting on down. Let's talk rotations. Let's talk about this because this is an interesting one with this circle going this way and the plane being that way. I was talking yesterday about Knights, and a lot of people tend to know how the Knights work. Now, they tend to be a bridge camping team. They will wait. They will come very late, but they will basically Milta and Milta Power will be evacuated by FaZe. FaZe will go for boats. They'll go around to Sosnovka. Vitality will also probably pick up the boats that are on the beach, and they'll get out of there, which will leave Knights to come down and camp the bridge. Now, anybody that's in the north, everybody that's gone up to Severny and everything, probably aware of this one. If we're aware of it as commentators, because we've seen it so many times, they almost certainly are aware of it. But I still see teams getting caught out by it. There's no Lumbermill in this game who obviously are always up in Severny side, but there are a number of teams like Exalt who are actually up in Yasna at the moment. They ordinarily would go for the farm sort of split area. They'd normally just be to the close by to Vitality, so they may get caught out by it because they're not used to having these rotations where they normally go through them sort of camps effectively. Moses muted him. He's muted his mic. He's muted his mic, Moses.
Excuse me, sorry. I moved my microphone. So
I was like, Moses, where are you, Moses? And I looked.
I'm here. I was actually just having a nice soliloquy about bridge camping. So let me start over. So with these long rotations that you deal with from time to time, having someone like the Knights then set up a bridge camp can be just an absolute thorn in your side, because having to come from like North Georgia if you're TSM or anywhere else considering this plane path, having the Knights set up a bridge camp is just terrible for you, and really it can lead to a lot of damage because you're going to have a short loot phase, then having to deal with the bridge camp. But it looks like the Knights are going to be a little bit slow on the rotate here, so I'm not sure if the bridge camp will be viable.
No, they will be. That's how they do it. They'll come really slow, really late, and they'll even sit outside the blue for maybe a circle or two and just really camp it out and anybody.
We saw them get caught by Vitality that one time as well, so I'm wondering, are they going to come on that same side? So I'm suppose the resilience is key there. So if they can dodge Vitality and get to the bridge, then I guess that's pro gaming there from the Knights, trying to get that bridge camp no matter what happens.
14 goes to Ewan. Remember, they've been pretty late down here. They've got Penta already on that island. Going to be interested to see which compounds people go for, because we've obviously seen a relatively similar circle to this in game number 1 where we finished under the bridge. Hopefully it's not going to swing that way this time. It's totally possible. Rogue generally would have the lion's share of choice of where they're going. Looks like Ewan is going to opt for the buildings there, so Rogue are probably going to go for a split 2-2 across the road in those buildings that Ewan's just posted himself in, which would be fairly set up. The boys from Noxious, we saw them, obviously they were struggling to find vehicles early on. I think they probably just got into Crossroads. I expect them to be fairly low looted, whereas say Millennium, who did go into Watertown, etc., they've basically got themselves a decent amount of gear. And this is actually problematic, I would say, for the guys of Noxious, having Millennium pulling up like this. They look like they want to execute some sort of camp.
Looks like they might be the case. So for Millennium, not sure what their game plan is just yet, but they looks like they're going to slowly make their way towards the gas station. Riskness maybe hearing that vehicle, wanting to pump up and try and find a pick here, but they will get away.
I think
So
they were
yeah,
checking it, weren't they?
Yeah,
See if
maybe
anyone
just
was there.
yeah, maybe just seeing if they bait out any shots. But Millennium headed up to the yellows, so we'll see if they're just looking for that long range hold. As yeah, they could hold that high ground position and try and get teams on the rotate in that little choke point by the gas station. So we'll see what Millennium does here.
The Knights, they're still coming down. This is what I'm worried about. I'm worried about someone like One. One are up in Severny at the moment.
Right.
We'll see which way they decide to rotate, because I was mentioning before that obviously there's not so many teams down on the southern tip this time because of the way the plane was. But pretty much most of the boats will be taken before the majority of the northern teams get down here. So they have to be creative with the ways they get across. Oh, missed that. Well, he saw Millennium there earlier on. They didn't go up to the lighthouse, but they did go over to the rocks towards these yellow buildings, and it still gives them clean angle on this. There's still only 2 members of Millennium. Don't know where the rest of the team is. Okay, they're in the yellows behind them. So Millennium just keeping a keen eye on this one. They don't need to rotate yet. The circle does encompass this northern area of Erengel, so they're perfectly safe. Mister's going to have to throw himself out a smoke wall to get out of there.
Make a path, yeah. He's going to have to make a little path. He's clearly headed towards the lighthouse, and now Damien's seeing, well, is there anybody else up there just yet? Mister now on the run. Taking a pause, baiting some shots, having to back it up. I think he's a little concerned that he's being seen through the smoke. Now, from time to time, there will be errors with smoke being rendered, so not sure if Mist is being seen by another angle, potentially.
Let him sort of get away from this one. Yuki's the only man with the red dot. Everybody else is kind of backtracked away from it, so he had his chance. He's not getting any support from his team. They're all spread out behind him, so he's kind of on his own here. And now it looks like Millennium, they're coming around. They are on the full flank now. And Mister is going to get shot in the back here by Sesko. Sesko should be an easy shot for him. Mister's sat ready, waiting for him. A little cheeky peek, and he will go down, Damien, in the end.
Wow. Noxious, is just really having a rough year today, and that's look at they're kind of spread out. Crispier, Riskness, and Kavorka all around, still maybe jockeying, looking for vehicles. I'm not seeing a ton of quick movement there, but now we're seeing Alliance coming in on boats. LFO maybe thinking about the same. They're down in Primorsk, FaZe in Novo, and for now the rotation is beginning. We will see many of the northern teams arriving late, just due to the fact that there is nowhere really to go right now. There's going to be a lot of map pressure around the top half of this new play zone. And for teams like Millennium and Noxious, they're going to have to figure out what they want to do here. TSM forming up, as is I Am Larry and the rest of his squad.
So look at Vitality. Look at Knights. Knights pulled up in the hills of Milta, and they were basically watching Milta. And they saw that Vitality, because obviously, like you said, they got caught out by them about 2 games ago in this exact same position. Game number 1. And they didn't want to get caught out this time. They basically pulled up. They've been watching. They've been scoping it. And now they see Vitality moving. Then they're like, okay, now we can go down there. We're not going to get caught out by this again. And that's Vitality reacting to the bridge camp that Knights tend to do. So they're like, okay, we'll camp your camp, effectively. And now they're going across. So they're going to camp the crossroads. They're going to set up there. The Knights will probably pull up in this little petrol station area just here. And look who's coming behind them. Look who's coming behind them. Exalt Gaming. We're just coming in behind the Knights. So Vitality are going to set up here. The Knights are over the bridge, and Exalt coming towards them. Now, whether Exalt decides to go for bridge or whether they go for beach, I think they're going to go beach and avoid it, because Knights will pull up here, just exactly where they are now.
Well, if they are aware of the Knights' tendency to try and camp this bridge, they may opt for the compound just to the west of them. So we can already see FCE shooting at the transitioning I Am Larry. So I Am Larry sneaking by on the bike, trying to get past. But yeah, for the Knights, they are going to have control of this area and this current play zone. But we'll see what Exalt decides to do. Looks like they're scoping out, saying like, yep, they're there again. Nothing we can really do. So we'll see if they decide to hold here, try and get across some boats, or maybe off to swim. There is the boat there available. So for Exalt, will they be able to make it safely? That's the question for now.
Yeah, everybody's going to try and get down to that boat. Now, where's one going to go? So Larry's gone into the coast. Raz is going to do the same. Looks like he's going to blast it over the cliffside and straight into the water and swim his way across. Of course, the first circle just about collapsing in. Vitality realized Knights are going to do their usual camp, so they've already gone off the compound just to the north of the O of Sosnovka on the map. Here's the rest of Exalt heading towards that boat, and everybody will be happy. Okay, circle update. Let's have a look, see where we're going to go, because it's going to be bouncing in a second. Will we be going down into the trenches? Will we have a horrific bridge finish once again? Will it go down south? Oh no! Oh no! I see the bridge. I see the bridge, Moses.
The channel is staying in for now. However, most of the current circle is in the landmass of the military island. So, circle gods, give us some lenient next transitions here as we see. It's like riskiness moving up here. Millennium, hold on to the wizard tower and this other bridge. So some control here for Millennium. Riskiness just maybe trying to scout it out and see what he can spot. So this is going to be a interesting situation. The Knights holding one bridge. Exalt looking to maybe cross in boat, but as far as Millennium is concerned, they do not have to move just yet. Noxious is going to get a visit from Rogue.
Getting pushed by Yannick there, so Rogue will get themselves their first kill. I don't understand what Noxious are doing here. They've lost the man, they lost this camp, they lost the chance. They choose not to camp it themselves and backed away from it, and now they're trying to look and push it. That's I don't know. Like they should just lick the wounds, take the losses, go in the water, and start swimming. That's what it seems to me. I don't understand why they're even considering trying to contest it now.
It seems like the decision making, like there's no fluidity, no real drive to kind of have, what are we doing right now? What is the strategy? Maybe that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know what the strategy of Noxious is, and maybe neither do they, as they continue to get split out and caught one by one. And it looks like DC engaged here with Vitality as well. So DC staying active in these games.
Yeah, Vitality are one of those that prefer to stay out the compounds, and obviously there's not a lot of compounds to go into around here. So they've kind of been out in the open and very much spread around the hills, and there's a lot of areas for teams to creep up on you, which is exactly what happened. DC snuck in there. Looks like Method have occupied the compound that DC were in game one. Now we'll see whether that pays dividends for him as the circle update will come in. Certainly the circle update will start to shrink in 10 seconds. So most of the teams, I think, are in and around Sosnovka. There's not too many. These guys that we're watching here are the teams that are outside of it. Still don't really know what Noxious are planning. One have decided, look at one. They just went, you know what, straight, okay, bridge is covered, bam, straight in the waters, let's swim. Because it takes a long time to swim over that bloody channel. You got to get going early, and that's trying to sit on the edge. Like TSM did the same, but TSM were in the position that Millennium are in right now. They fought for that bridge camp, they held it, and look at TSM. Speaking of, they are coming in very bloody late, and they're going to come in the back of Noxious.
And that's exactly what's going to happen here. So another kind of pinch for Noxious, and actually I think it was Method that lost Grip as well. So that's going to be an early loss for them. Break in the vehicle. So we'll see here where TSM decides to come in. They might decide to go over to the yellows and then maybe come down along the coast. But not a lot of options immediately available. Noxious now moving along the beach. They're going to have to try and get in the water, or at least around Millennium, who have the vision and the spread to basically keep control of the entire bridge area. So Kavorka maybe spotting THZ in the compound, or sorry, the wizard tower, just trying to see what he's up to. They're going to have to just try and get to the beach and maybe wind up in the water. And it looks like TSM is going to take hold in the gas station, arriving a little bit late, maybe trying to displace Millennium themselves.
They're just thinking, let's play this like we did in game one, right? This is a similar circle. We might be able to pay it. We know we're the last team coming in to the edge, right? They're 100% certain they are the last team to come in. Now they just need to see whether they have to deal with it. Oh wow, this is Zukta Nam. They are picking Noxious apart across the channel. They are basically in a turkey shoot. If anyone's got a decent sniper rifle or something, you might be able to land some shots with a decent scope. Kavorka has gone down, so their Millennium are already picking him off as well. So their indecisions has cost them so dearly. They had the exact position of Millennium in, but chose not to fight for it, not to camp it. It was poor old Mister that was left there hanging in the wind by the rest of his team, and now they're facing the consequences.
Absolutely. And now it's down to one. I believe that was a finish from THZ as well. So now they're just kind of lost, and all the water is going to come out of this transition. So the military base will be the feature in the center. So DC having the northern area basically secure. There's no one anywhere near them. And now this left side of the circle is going to see a lot of pressure. So we'll see if Rogue is going to be able to try and form up and hold this position here, as they have had decent success so far today in maintaining their compounds. So we'll see how they decide to hold this split now. Looks like they are going to give up the most left side of this zone right now. So yeah, the play zone pressure will definitely mount in the west. So we'll see how teams react.
How are Alliance going to deal with this? They're spotted by Zuklet now. VZ getting picked apart in the open. Will just about live. Yemti actually getting involved. I don't know where that is, but it's Alliance we're watching here because they've had a torrid time today. It's not been a good day. They are down in, I think, 167 points. They've been caught out a number of times in rotations, mainly because obviously they were down in Novo. They chose this time to go up towards the hospital again. And obviously the circle going this way, it gives them a chance to finally fight in the open rather than, getting caught in those rotations, which has been causing them so many problems today. That now looks like it's good. It's going to go straight towards that smoke. It may catch both of them. You already see Eki trying to bounce away from it. Didn't see where it went.
So the one thing I'm noticing with Alliance, and I've seen this from other teams as well, TSM actually transitioning in vehicles now. Getting caught out is Vis, and that is Break and Smack making it across, but Andy is there waiting, and he will take down Break, and Smack is going down as well. And all of a sudden, Rory, last man standing. Break is finished, actually getting hit by Rory there. So Rory finishing Break for it. I'm going to call that calculated, but now Rory is down as well. Smack, the only man left standing. And I say that the Uncharged finish him off. So TSM is the first team eliminated, and that's back-to-back tough games for TSM. I was just going to say that that's going to be a tough transition for all these guys on the left side, but for Method picking up some kills there, Millennium have not moved an inch, holding on to that bridge.
Yeah, they've been holding the bridge side. They're going to have to back away soon. One also underneath the bridge. But look how compact it's got in Sosnovka military base. There is so many people over there. He's going to go an angle on Alliance. They've already picked off one member. I think Mita was the man that went down. And that is going to be Sixty being picked off. He's trying to go down, trying to heal. He doesn't know where the shot's coming from. You can see Fever's the one that's close by. So I think even VZ might get picked if he can't get over the brow of that hill. And it's left Fever basically all on her own. But look at this. Look how many teams are in it. So you got Rogue inside there, Vitality inside the other compound, Penta about to push right on top of Fuffins as he comes around. The Knights are in there as well. Fuffins gets himself one. Can he get two? He does. And he finishes off Sims as well. Sims and Tommy finally will get taken down in the back by Ultra, but the damage has been done. And it was ended up a 1-for-1 trade. Tommy will get revived.
Wow, so that was a nice play there. So Vitality holding nearby. Now the military base starting to hold up. And now I was going to say, who's got the barrels? And it's FaZe. FaZe has set up inside these barrels. They have their vehicles protected so they can transition if necessary. I really like the barrels hold. It makes for a lot of visibility as well as flexibility and movement. The Knights holding on to Exalt from the bottom end of this police station area. So for the Knights, they do have decent vision up the hill, but the trees do cut off a lot. We will see what this transition holds when the circle shifts once again. But for Alliance, we were speaking about how they do seem to be a little disjointed, but I think they have the ability to turn it around if they stay a little tighter. But really, it's a tough game to win at any given time. And for them, it's, THD and Millennium arriving late. Brooder, hey, how are you?
Yeah, that's just unlucky. It's just that his tire pop. I think it was Method that were lighting him up there. Tire pop, spins out straight in front of Zutek now. Just comes over the hill and completes the kill. Damien now instead going for the other hill, trying to get over there. Now he's going to run straight in towards Alliance. Sesko will divert, and Damien managed to get out of there. Oh, sorry, Yuki in there as well. So all of that, three of them in the vehicle? Okay, so they're using the three, so they're going for the 3-1 instead. And he picks himself another. So Method are actually moving over the hillsides, and they're starting to spot FC Espo as they were coming out of the water. So Method actually starting to collect a few kills as they start these transitions.
FCE spotting out the remnants. The last two guys standing. That, as I say that, Riskness does go down. So FCE spotting out Crispier now as well. He's stuck there. So for Crispier, then you can see Exalt in the background. Just a really rough go. Now the last man standing, Riskness, is going to go down here. So only one left for Noxious.
Well, okay, the Knights. Oh, they're pushing. So the Knights have been down in that complex. The Knights are pushing the hill on Exalt. They've actually left their compound and pushing up on the hill. So they're choosing to go for this one. The Knights are. They know they've been keeping an angle on Exalt up in the hillside, but this is interesting because I think they've decided with the circle squeezing the way it is, they want to be in the hills. They don't want to be down here inside Sosnovka. It can be roll the dice effectively. We'll see how it works. Knight's going to throw out the nade. That's going to land Odia. Yeah, it will catch him beautifully. Odia did get Vox down in the trade, so not clean for them. Odia will get finished off. This nade from Cup of Magic is going straight towards Kramer. It
Right
may
on
bounce
top.
off the hill, the tree. I think it will, yes. I think it hit the tree or certainly the wall before it. So it's a 1-for-1 so far. Tricky fight in these hills. That's an org for Kramer, though.
So I'm wondering if they put a little bit of pressure onto the Exalt from that police station and then decided, like, well, they're going to think we're holding onto this building and then come up behind them. But regardless, this is now a bit of a spread battle. The play zone will finish Voxic, and Breaksco does go down, so a nice low side flank by Krema. And all of a sudden, the Knights, while still trying to hold on to this fight, Cup of Magic and Chronix having to back off. Drayden there. Krema now coming on the flank, and that's Chronix down. Cup of Magic now open, and he is down, so the Knights will finish off Exalt. That is a nice play from them, but it came at a cost.
It came at a cost indeed, and Digital Chaos, ironically, are in the position to take. That's the reason they were pushing up here in the first place. While that was all happening, I saw Pento getting pretty much decimated. I think they're down to 1. That was Vitality, who we saw obviously here in the military base. Vitality and Rogue are like north and south side of that military compound. The Knights, though, now trying to come around as the two, have ironically obviously got Digital Chaos, who they bumped into before. Over here we got FC Ispo and Zuktat Nam, who've been causing a lot of problems for a lot of teams.
Yeah,
Nam in
no
these
doubt.
hillsides. Looks like they cleaned that one out, so they've got themselves another couple of kills. As we pan around, we do see, of course, the circle is coming in that way. FaZe have stuck and actually gone a little to the left in towards one of the hangars rather than sticking around the barrels. And he does find another FC Ispo player as Penta try to push onto Vitality. It's Lux and Ultra as they're going to try and siege out. That's a really risky move with 2 versus 3.
No doubt. So now Vitality looking like they want to hold the low side, and there is a trap waiting. Oh, Raxi taking some shots there. A lot of damage going on to Ultra. Lux. Oh, Ultra will go down now. That I'm not sure who snagged him, but I think
Monkey
that was
sneaked around.
Monkey. Yeah. So
He got shot by Niao. So LFO managed to down him as he went for the peak there. So it's not safe outside. LFO looks like, yeah, they're okay. The circles just took a wide shift. Really big shift. It's actually gone towards FaZe as well. That's a massive shift in the circle. Ultra will get himself up. FaZe, you can see just inside there. And actually, Zuktat Nam in the hills have a really good spot now. So you've got to be looking towards the edges. I don't know what you call it, scaffolding, the red. I think it gets called by a number of people as well. The massive scaffold is inside there. Don't expect anyone to go in it because you're just so open inside it.
Get up on top and hold that thing. Don't be afraid. You'll be fine.
You got this.
So Lux just kind of held in with Vitality being roommate. Yeah, it's fine. Perfectly safe. Just get up there. You'll be fine. So LFO kind of holding on. Penta rather holding on with Vitality. LFO just to the southwest. And FaZe held on to the garages. Now it's going to be up to DC. They're right on top of Millennium.
Yeah, they're going to come behind them on the back. Millennium are going to get completely caught off guard. Sesko manages to turn. He just got Fausto. That was, well, tracking your angles there. He just got bounced away by the grenade. That is a massive bounce. Launched over the hillside. And it leaves Digital Chaos in a quandary. Avian's decided, okay, we need to give up on this. And it's time to split Ewan down. And Jockey's try and run it himself. And Avian, they've tried to get basically around in towards the northern side of the circle. And now they found Stab. Stab will go down. So Avian on the rotate will find him. Ewan actually getting picked off by the Knights as Kramer comes up behind them.
DC scattered to the wind there. They definitely fell. Oh, and as I say that, now it's Shadow doing damage to Penta. Trade not there. Lux not able to return. But Monkey is down elsewhere, as I believe the Knights are now getting engaged as well. Shadow holding that wide angle, Lux jumping back in the window. This has been a bit of a war of attrition for Vitality, taking one casualty after another. That's actually Rogue engaging. The Knights now coming in a little bit late. Yeah, DC got scattered there. Wow.
Yeah, neither of them, that big building they're in, they all have to push out of it, right? So they're all trying to post themselves in position. Look at Kramer. He's kind of flushing out the back of it. So he's coming around the side. Jazza has a glimpse at Dre, doesn't realize there's another one behind. Dre's in, oh my God, he's in open territory here. Get the smokes out. Roxas has jumped on a bike. He's getting the hell out of there, so he's gone ahead of him. Dre's trying to do what he can to keep alive. He has got support in his teammate in the building behind. Roxas gets himself into relatively safe territory, but now we see the nades coming out from Method. That is looking like a good nade. I think it might bounce just to the left. Oh, what a nade. Almost takes him down to nothing. Has he got any meds left? I don't think so. Look at that. A building's got both three teams in it. Shadow, Rogue, and Knights in there. Kramer finds Jazza.
Wow, so Rogue managing to secure that with Shadow after getting downed in there as well. So that's actually a nice little pickup for Rogue. That only 2 men left standing, however. That circle is, oh my God, it continues to shift away. Yeah, no doubt.
Everybody that's basically been trying to position themselves central.
That's going to bounce right on top of them.
That's a good nade. Oh, what a great nade. And that's basically the end of Rogue. That will beat them going down. And it's going to be Dre that, in the end, is the Reaper.
Wow.
FaZe, I believe, still have all 4 alive. They are rotating around. Zuktetnam, of course, have been in the hills and causing really a pain in the side of everyone they meet. They've been on a bit of a tear in this game. Rock says, Dre knows he's here because he saw him coming over the road right in front of him. They can't push it any further forward because Method have Annie and Chris there, basically preventing them. Up in the hills, we see another standoff going on there. You can see Yokis and Damian from Millennium and
FaZe
DC.
rotating.
They're trading. Larry from 1, he's trying to creep around on Zuktetnam, and FaZe are actually the ones with numbers. They've got 3 in there, along with LFO. Oh, they're getting picked off in the open as FaZe gets knocked.
Wow, so FaZe having moved up this hill into a nice position, they're going to have to go for the res here. It looks like that's exactly what they're going to do before any more pressure comes their way. But for FaZe, now 4 strong in the high ground of the zone. They're in a great spot. They're holding fights on 2 flanks, however, as Zoktanam still not going away. This hillside has just picked up a lot of kills for them. And now that res coming out, Hacks immediately jumping onto Longo, and LFO is getting picked apart in the open. Nayu holding in the open, trying to med as well. He's got that Car 98, looking to see if he can land true once again, looking for the head of Fuzzface or Haxetti, and he will be spotted, I believe. Damage coming down, and he's got to be the savior of his team, and it will not happen. Nayu and all of LFO eliminated by FaZe. FaZe, I believe, is still 4 strong. I don't know if they lost anybody there, but now Drayden having eliminated the last man of Rogue. Now basically nowhere to go for him either. A bloodbath.
So Dramerson took a Roxas down. He's just been down. So that's Knights going out. That's Vitality going out. Damian looks like he came out on top in the battle with Yokis on the hill. So that was Digital Chaos going down to Millennium. It's just been so many battles that have been happening. Method, they're going to have to move here. They've got no cover from this. This is not inside the circle. They can just creep along the wall edge, but it's not ideal. FaZe at the moment, obviously, are in prime position because they've got so many alive. Larry's around the side there from 1. You've got Millennium in there and Method down low. So FaZe, we could be looking at their second chicken dinner here, despite the fact they've not had to do a lot for it.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just a matter of moving around in the military base and staying out of harm's way so far. But that said, they do have 7 kills, most of which were picked up in the last 2 minutes.
Yeah,
but,
before they just got to LFO.
Yeah, no doubt. But actually, this is kind of that transition out of military base and all those teams kind of taking each other out has benefited Method, who didn't have a lot of time and space to move, but are now finding themselves at least in a 4th place finish right now. FaZe, I think, maybe have eyes on the backpack of Chris, and it's Andy left there as well. They would be wise to try and actually, there's nowhere really for them to go. So for now, it's just going to be a matter of maybe Andy pulling one out of the bag of tricks here and trying to take one off of FaZe, as FaZe is definitely in a nice position to win this game.
Yeah, I was trying to wonder if anyone else can challenge the lobby for TSM. Well, Chris, you've got no health at all. How did he live there? I don't know how he managed to back away from that one, but Mex is going to push it. He realizes they're low. He knows he's tagged up Andy as well. So they're going to try and go for an open swing, an open peak. That's pretty ballsy play from FaZe, and this is what we used to seeing, right?
Whoa!
We used to seeing the full-on aggression, gets around, gets in Andy's face, and manages to get the knock.
Yeah, just keeping the, like, FaZe is all about applied pressure, and they do it so well, as that is going to be Andy eliminated. And now Chris, the last man standing for Method, having to run out into the open. The circle starting to change. He's laid down in the smoke, but FaZe just always applies pressure. When they sense that they have an advantage, they will pursue it regardless of what the circumstance is, and that is what has led to such successful rotations for them, not to mention their overall team success. So Chris now taking damage from the blue, and I think that might be it for Method.
They found him. They found him through the smoke. They got him eventually. So it's Larry, it's Damian, and it's 3 members of FaZe pushing him down. Yempty, the only man down for FaZe. Didn't see where or when. Maybe it was sometime in Sosnovka. It is a bush position for Damian, trying to hide where he can, when he can. But look at FaZe. They're already fanning out. They're going to keep 2 up and high, and it's going to be Mexi that spreads down low. Larry spotted. Looks like Mexi's seen him. He will go down, and Damian now the last man. It's a second place finish for Millennium. It's going to be the chicken dinner for FaZe, the second chicken dinner of the day, but it's in truth not been that tidy a day for FaZe because they did have I think it was a 16th or a 15th finish in game number 2 and a 12th, I think, or 11th in game number 3. So it's been a up and down day.
Feast or famine for FaZe, either winning or completely bombing out. Not something that we've seen from them, but let's not count out Damien here. He's no, he's pretty much finished, but unless he's got some insane, crazy 360 no scope.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Profi did a 1v3 yesterday in this same sort of, not in this position, but that was against, not against FaZe. I'm trying to think who it was against, but it wasn't FaZe, basically. FaZe are actually sticking together, so they're not fanning out to take it into 3 1v1s effectively. They're moving as a unit. So as soon as one spots him, all 3 will be trained on the exact same position. They know he's going to be down on the slope because they've just cleared out the whole top side of slope. So they know he's somewhere to the left-hand side. Looking, they're just checking every bush now.
Checking bushes, bushwhacking. And right now, Damien, is he just going to go out? Or is he going to be discovered here? Looks like Mixie. Oh! Damien's got one! And Hex will clean him up. So that is a victory for FaZe in this last game. And that is a nice 11-kill win for them.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough. They were a long way, 235 points behind TSM. TSM didn't have a good finish. We were talking about whether anyone could chase them. Rogue themselves were probably the only contenders. They finished down in 10th with 6 kills. TSM, well, I don't know. What's the points difference? Where's TSM?
Wow.
Can you scroll it down?
Yeah, they're last.
They went up 16th. Oh, it was a 65-point difference between Rogue, and I think that may just be enough.
Maybe, yeah. It'll be very close if that. We will have the scores coming out very quickly here. So, yeah, that's the story of the day is TSM having a great first 2 games. Then all of a sudden it kind of came apart there. That vehicle push across the bridge was just disastrous. But a tough last couple of games for them. But ultimately it was a 50-50 day, and they may hold on to their first place finish if Rogue does not jump them.
Yeah, fantastic stuff, though. Congrats to Millennium as well, getting themselves. I think that's their 2nd or 3rd. I'm going to look at. They had a decent finish before. I need to look in the toggle board mode, don't I? Let's have a look on the website. Let's have a look. Yes, they did. They had a 2nd place finish, if I'm not mistaken, in game number 2 as well. So the congrats to them. There's 2 2nd places for Millennium. It's a team that's been on the up and up. I think I've been watching them through the qualifiers in the various leagues. The French boys are starting to slowly but surely step it up. They're not setting the world alight with their play styles, but it's consistency that wins in the end of the day.
No doubt, and consistency is always the name of the game. Method actually eking out a 4th place finish, and that was 1 in 3rd as well, just picking up those 2 kills. Not much to be said about that, but ultimately Andy and I believe it was Chris going for that last push there, just barely making it in there, but a 4th place finish for them. So Method having an okay day. Zokten Nam very active, taking that 5th place finish. The Knights as well, 8 kills for them. A little bit of a down day for the Knights. I didn't see a ton of success.
Vitality as well. I mean,
no doubt.
I guess certainly I know it's obviously French pride. Millennium just were the higher the French team today than Vitality, which is something you wouldn't expect to say regularly.
It's a bit of an odd time in the PUBG landscape as far as teams. I mean, FaZe is definitely the number 1 overall team, a dominating force so far, and really these roster changes and people come together to try and displace them. Liquid lurking in the background, still trying to figure it out from a consistency standpoint. But DC on the rise as well. They had a decent couple of days. They've now put together a solid week. Rogue having been signed, formerly Air Station Mike, they had a bit of a lull there as well, but they're starting to come up. And really, we'll see how the landscape continues through the spring and summer as PUBG competitive continues to just be a shifting meta at times, but really, who can displace FaZe at this point?
No one. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Short answer.
So that is it for us
No
tonight.
one.
Obviously, this has been auzom.gg. There is also Lobby Blue and Red. Feel free to go onto the website, check out the scores, see how everybody's done. Of course, it all builds up to the global points system, and we are starting to near the end of the league, so we're starting to get towards the finals time for that. Also, there's more coming up tomorrow. Stream.me will have their PUBG Invitational tomorrow. That's going to be at Friday, of course, at 8 p.m. Central European Summer Time. That's going to be on the Stream.me platform. Obviously, it is their tournament, and auzom will be hosting it for them. So for myself, I will certainly see you there then. Thank you very much for joining us once again, Moses, or I'm joining you. I don't know which way we can really say it, honestly. We're kind of joining each other and for auzom. So it's been a fantastic day. We've had some interesting circles today, I think it's what we can say. It's been an interesting day. Let's just finish it at that. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.